Tricky one.
Well, we're joined by Alpesh Patel of Prifinium Partners to go through the papers. Good morning, Alpesh. Lovely to see you. Let's start with the ECB. A bit embarrassing, isn't it?
Oh, well, we could make the obvious jokes about the fact that even the European Central Bank's building is overspending. What a lovely sight to see a bunch of bankers on the top of a building. I bet there were people at the bottom saying, jump, jump. That would be unfair. On a more serious note, it'd be fascinating to hear if any viewers ever come across any government in the countries in which they're watching this programme which have ever underspent on a government contract. I certainly haven't. I do, however, like the way that the British are approaching this. With the present government, they've now got individuals who are responsible for government contracts with certain companies. So you know that you're next on the block as a representative of the government if there is overspend. Whereas before, it'd be 5 or 6 individuals sitting around a table or more, and you wouldn't ever know who was contracting. And I think that approach for procurement is very good. And I think also the approach turning this into a positive story where governments are increasingly, such as the British government, increasingly looking for small businesses to get government contracts. That's actually a positive aspect of overspend, because at least then it goes into the broader economy.
Well, the International Herald Tribune also points out that the very fact that they've got this building means that the euro is here to stay.
No, it means that when they contracted the contractors, they believed the euro was here to stay, and they felt that they could at least get a resale value.
Things have changed just a little bit in that time. Let's talk about that, because Spain, this is in the Spanish newspaper, reflecting a reasonably successful bond auction yesterday, and the markets took it quite well. Now, is this because they are reckoning that they will have to go back for an additional bailout, so they're factoring that in?
No, I think what's happened is that the European officials, the central bankers at the ECB, are ahead of the news cycle, and they've learnt their lesson that they've got to anticipate what the markets are going to do and what the papers are going to report off the back of it. So what you saw over the summer is Mario Draghi saying that we will do whatever it takes to defend the euro. That means foreign exchange traders are going to say, well, there's no point us trying to use our firepower, because they have made it clear they will do whatever it takes. Now, the danger with that approach is that somebody somewhere gets complacent and thinks, oh, look, as a result of what they've said, bond yields will drop, and therefore maybe we don't have to be as tough on these individual governments as we originally intended. And then, of course, it all unravels again. But at the moment, everybody's holding the line. They're saying, we'll do whatever it takes, and that's what's pushing down yields. So if you're buying Spanish debt, you're thinking to yourself, well, I might as well get it at 3.75% return, because in future it's not going to go up, because the ECB is going to make sure that that yield is kept low. So the politicians have managed to understand how the markets work.
Let's move on to the Financial Times, which highlights what seems to be the rise and rise of James Murdoch.
Well, the Ofcom report said he fell short of the conduct expected of a CEO. What worries me more than the fact that James Murdoch's going to take over Fox News, which is it's the media arm of the Republican Party, if anybody's ever watched anything by Fox News, is that Sky B's share price is the same as it was 12 years ago. Now, he hasn't been chief executive over that entire period, but executives, they've had substantial shareholdings at News Corp over that period. Share price the same over 12 years. You'd think more people would have got the sack than just over police investigations into computer hacking and phone hacking and all the rest of it. So when Ofcom says the CEO's conduct fell well short of what was expected of a CEO, you know, they perhaps should have even more reference to the share price, let alone phone hacking.
Do you think, though, that he should get a top TV role, given what has happened?
Well, the role of the chief executive within News Corp companies tends to be a hereditary role by the looks of it. You know, look, daddy owns the company, you're going to get the role. Whether he should or not because he's not fit, well, there's a heck of a lot of unfit CEOs. If we use that bar, I think there'd be a lot of sackings going on.
Let's look now at the Daily Telegraph. This refers to Mervyn King, the Governor of the Bank of England, talking about really the possibility that if the British Chancellor should want to break his fiscal pledge and miss his debt targets, it would be okay because of the state of the world economy.
The best way to understand this is make absolutely no mistake. Since the government reshuffle in the United Kingdom, we have shifted from a focus on austerity and productivity and efficiency, the government won't put it in these terms, to a focus on growth. What that means is increased public spending. Now, they can't say that out and out. Mervyn King gives them some political cover for that. He's astute enough to have worked it out. And they will miss their spending targets, but they need to miss their spending targets in order to get growth, because through austerity and efficiency alone, whether it's because of the Eurozone, whether it's because of Chinese growth diminishing, whether it's because of the world economy or for other reasons, that's not going to do it, because we tried that for 2 years. But equally, you can't call it an economic policy U-turn, so you look for policy cover. I think there'll be quite a few people, particularly in business, who are relieved if we are going to be spending a little bit more in order to try that as a way of getting growth, because we have tried 2 years of productivity and efficiency gains.
Now, let's stay with the government and the newly promoted Chief Whip, who formerly was Secretary for International Development, Andrew Mitchell, who apparently has come out with a bit of a tirade against the police at Downing Street after they won't let him out with his bike.
Now, if the report is accurate, and I say that because it's in the Sun, I'm not saying that the Sun's not accurate, it's just that sometimes these things can be sensationalised in the tabloid newspapers. If it is accurate, and Andrew Mitchell did have a go at police officers, calling them plebs, then obviously...
But a couple of four-letter words involved as well.
Yes, well...
Which he doesn't deny.
Which he doesn't deny, and according to the newspaper reports. Obviously, Mitt Romney's PR man is what he is, but there clearly seems to be a people on the right of the political spectrum, probably there are on the left as well, right of the political spectrum, who believe they are better than others, and especially when they don't think they're being filmed or recorded. These are their true views, which is incredibly worrying. And rather than just have had a dressing down by the Prime Minister, I don't know why he's just not sacked. Why is an individual who holds those views representing members of the public when he clearly believes that such large proportions of the public are beneath him? Maybe that's why he went into politics, but it's certainly not a reason why he should be kept in politics.
It's interesting because he was, as I said earlier, he was the former Secretary for International Development and was seen as being quite warm and cuddly and incredibly friendly. And this is a very different face of Andrew Mitchell.
Apparently, at school, when he was a prefect, he was known as Thrasher. You don't get that for being warm and cuddly. I can only imagine, I don't want to this early in the morning, imagine how you got the name Thrasher at a public school.
Now, we've got to talk about the new iPhone and Apple Maps, because things seem to have gone a little bit awry there, and places are not quite on the maps where they thought they were.
There is a London in Ontario. It's not the one most people look for, but I'm sure they themselves were looking to bid for the Olympics as well, and probably nearly got it if the IOC were looking at those maps. I apologise for being late this morning. I was looking at the map to try and get here and ended up in on the M1. It's great fun, isn't it? And it's unusual. It's unusual because Apple doesn't make these kinds of mistakes. It's usually completely on form. I understand that they use the underlying software from TomTom, and anybody who's used TomTom will know. Occasionally, very rarely, but it does make mistakes, because when you consider the number of places... I'm defending Apple. I should declare an interest. I am a shareholder in Apple.
All right, enough. Enough already. Thank you very much indeed, Alpesh Patel. Thank you as well for being with us.